MBB, McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, and Bain, consulting's Mount Everest. If you can climb to the top, then the rewards are beyond your wildest corporate dreams. Handsome starting salaries, a CV that practically glows with prestige. And you can join the stacks of Fortune 500 CEOs that proudly call themselves MBB alumni. So with all that in mind, why on earth would you want to work anywhere else? In this video, I'll provide a different perspective, a David and Goliath tale. I want to show you why those plucky boutique firms can hold their own against the MB behemoths. There'll be pros, there'll be cons, there'll even be international drug scandals. I want to be clear, I'm not trying to take down these firms, they have a lot to offer. But what I do want to do is challenge the dogma that MBB is the automatic best choice for any aspiring consultant. Stick around to the end to find out my personal opinion why, if I was looking for a job in consulting, I would steer clear of MBB. Also, please like and subscribe, makes a big difference to the channel. Let's get going. MBB are thought of as the most elite and prestigious strategy consulting firms. And let's be honest, for any ambitious person looking to kickstart their career in consulting, MBB has a crazy aura about them. Reputation goes a long way in business, and there's an argument that prestige in itself is a good reason to apply for an MBB firm. By merely being associated with them, you can boost your professional standing and opportunities.
I think the key difference between working for an MBB firm and for boutique consultancy is the name, the degree of recognition and the brand attached to it.
And within the business world, their brand recognition can be compared to the likes of Apple or Google. In fact, the current Google CEO is ex-McKinsey. According to a 2023 Vault survey, MBB firms hold the top spots in terms of consulting prestige, with their scores significantly higher than their Big Four counterparts.
Everyone thinks that you're the best things in sliced bread. It's kind of a bit like Oxford and Cambridge, that when you've not been, it's like, oh my God, they're just full of geniuses.
MBB firms have an incredibly selective hiring process, with McKinsey accepting only around 1% of all applicants. They target the sharpest analytical minds from the top universities and business sectors. Then once you're in, life isn't exactly a walk in the park. But if you can weather the storm, then many believe that you have demonstrated the ability to handle immense pressure, which is a testament to your work ethic and professional capabilities. You'll be walking out of MBB like a highly decorated business soldier.
I love the smell of
KPIs
in the morning.
On top of that, MBB works on some of the world's most complex challenges for some of the biggest companies and organizations in the world. MBB try and keep specific clients under wraps, but some notable ones include the US Department of Defense, Coca-Cola, Apple, Microsoft. Project to project, you'll dive into vastly different industries, rapidly building a broad business acumen. To ensure that you can handle these diverse difficulties, MBB provides rigorous internal training in their time-proven methodologies. They really invest in their new hires, so if you can handle a couple of years of hard work, you'll be coming out with an analytical toolkit that will be useful for the rest of your career. All of this comes together to create the long-established perception that MBB firms churn out top-tier business generalists. That name on your CV alone will give you instant credibility, enough to make any recruiter blush. As a result, MBB's exit opportunities are the best in the industry. They're brilliant. It opens doors to the best of the best. Fortune 500 companies, private equity, hot startups, world-changing NGOs. The possibilities are endless and diverse. Another big contributor to the MBB hype is the money. MBB firms typically offer significantly higher salaries and bonuses compared to their competitors. In the US, entry-level consultants could see compensation packages well above 6 figures, depending on location and experience. Despite this, what was brought up more often by the people I interviewed was the perks of the job.
The perks, the way you're looked after, exceptional. They said, do you want to go to South Africa? And I said, yes. And everything else was just arranged. I just got on a plane. When you get promoted to consultant, if you don't do MBA, you get 2 months fully paid leave.
So there's a lot of hype around MBB, but here is the trap. We think that the biggest names equal the best experiences, the most life-changing and fulfilling work. But this isn't the full picture. There is another side to these companies. I first got interested in one of MBB's number, Mckinsey, after reading the brilliant, heartbreaking, and frankly infuriating book, Empire of Pain. The book in part discusses how McKinsey allegedly helped Purdue Pharma aggressively market OxyContin, advising how to turbocharge opioid sales, leading to widespread addiction and death. McKinsey eventually agreed to pay out nearly $600 million in settlements for its actions. On top of this, McKinsey has some more high-profile scandals under its belt that are detailed out in John Oliver's Last Week Tonight episode on McKinsey. I don't want to single out McKinsey here. All of MBB and many of the Big Four have a trail of controversies in their wake. Bain's grave misconduct in South Africa, BCG's Cosy Relations with senior bureaucrats. If this is new to you, you're probably hearing this and you're feeling a bit concerned that maybe you don't want to be associated with stuff like this. Like, I don't want to turbocharge an opioid crisis. When I was writing this, I felt a bit conflicted about bringing this up because on one level, I feel like it's quite important to highlight this kind of thing. But on the other, I don't want to make them out to be like evil organizations. I think it's more nuanced than that. The pressure to maintain clients and generate profit can itself create an environment where ethical lines blur, even without outright malicious intent. That's just shareholder capitalism. And these firms are huge and complex, and with complexity comes both good and bad.
The idea that, like the John Oliver thing, that it's some evil conspiracy and taking away anything, I strongly disagree with. There's lots of people trying to do their best to make the issue they've been given be rectified.
These firms often have departments focusing on social impact projects like green energy, healthcare, education, as well as doing things like pro bono projects partnering with NGOs. Putting their sizable knowledge and resources behind these issues has the potential to make real, meaningful, positive changes in the world. But broadly speaking, if ethical values are a top priority for you, then in my opinion, smaller boutique firms are likely to provide a better fit. While no firm is immune from scandal, their smaller size and narrower focus offer more clarity and choice in aligning your work with your values. In contrast, the sheer scale of MBB firms and their commitment to shareholders are bound to create moral ambiguities that are hard to navigate. But this is a really subjective matter and only you can make that decision. Just quickly, I'm really curious whether things like business ethics of organizations factor into your decisions to apply for a job. So please let me know in the comments if you ever take that into account when you're looking at different firms to work for.
Noticeable difference was the people. The people in the MBB firms were more stressed. They were just less kind. They would treat us quite badly, to be honest, in most cases. It's like we were completely expendable.
As a junior analyst at MBB, you're trained to be a generalist rather than a deep specialist. They emphasize flexibility and adaptability. Some people I spoke to described MBB as treating you like a pooled resource. That is a carbon copy of all of your colleagues that can be dragged and dropped into almost any project, with little need for expertise in industry or subjects. This has benefits for the firm. It allows them to easily add or subtract staff on projects in diverse fields and efficiently meet client demands. But what it means for an MBB hire is that you're in direct competition with your fellow carbon copy analysts. Some would call this a meritocracy, others a meat grinder.
It's a pretty toxic environment. That's why everyone calls us insecure overachievers. Like everyone is working their ass off because they don't think they're good enough, and they're looking at the person next to them and thinking, I have to be just as good as them, but they're doing the same thing. It just creates this feeling like I'm moving on a slower track. It is a daily battle for me.
This tracks with MBB's widely reported up or out culture. Up or out means consultants must continuously demonstrate rapid growth and exceptional performance to advance within the company. Those who don't meet those expectations are often pushed out. So basically, you either go up, meaning you're quickly promoted, or you go out, meaning you gotta go. But it should be noted that in reality, if a consultant is heading in the direction of being in the lowest performance bracket, they will have plenty of warning. And they often choose to leave on their own accord because if you're falling behind in an environment like this, you're probably not enjoying your job that much anyway. MBB firms operate on a notoriously tight schedule, unlike Tier 2 and boutique firms where projects often have longer timelines. This means facing constant pressure to deliver results quickly.
8 weeks to do something meaningful in a normal business is a very short time frame. That's typically how long a project might be. It's the sort of get done aspect of it, which I like. The urgency and the spotlight being on you and the energy of starting a new project. When you finish one intense one, and then you might finish it on a Thursday and then on Monday you start from scratch. with a whole new set of clients and potentially a new industry with a new problem, a new leadership team. And it's like, here we go again. Can be a bit overwhelming at some point. Standard hours don't exist really. A good case, like you should be logging off at 7:38.
What would a bad case look like?
My last 4 weeks, I averaged 72 hours.
At MBB, working 60 to 80 hours a week is not uncommon. That could mean 16-hour days for most of the week, which is significantly more demanding than other types of consulting firm.
People on grad schemes at etc. who literally was sleeping in the office or working until 3 a.m.
For me personally, this is just unacceptable working hours. I'm not afraid of a bit of hard work, and I've worked in jobs with 16-hour days before, and it just wrecked my mental health. On top of the long hours, the typical MBB lifestyle often involves frequent, sometimes even weekly travel. This means living out of a suitcase from Monday to Thursday. Throw into the mix the fact that MBB is working on high-stakes problems for some of the most powerful organizations in the world, often with intricate structures, multiple stakeholders, and ambitious goals. You can see why it would be so pressurizing. There's a degree to which this is true for any consultancy across the tiers. Consulting and working in consulting is stressful, but at MBB, it's ratcheted up to 11. Oof. Gosh, I'm feeling tense just talking about it. That being said, some people thrive in these intense, pressurized environments and enjoy the fact that it keeps them on their toes.
Every time you start a new project every 2 or 3 months, it's like the big thing, the energy, it's kicking off, everyone's engaged. And so you just always have that like biggest priority, most important thing, senior people care about it, that sort of energy.
It's worth noting that firms are fully aware of burnout issues, so you might have periods of intense work followed by opportunities to recharge. This could mean you'll have formal leave time or you're put on the beach, which basically means you're working on internal projects which are less demanding, the hours are more reasonable, and you have a chance for a bit of respite. Instead of the one-size-fits-all approach of MBB and the consulting giants, boutique firms offer a more tailored and flexible alternative. They specialize in specific industries like tech or healthcare, or business sectors like corporate restructuring, giving them a deeper understanding of their clients' unique challenges. This allows them to offer bespoke solutions that big firms might struggle to match. They often actually go head-to-head with MBB for their clients.
For one of the boutique consultancies I worked for, their main client was Google, because Google didn't want to work with one of the MBBs anymore because they were disappointed by the work.
A quick note, for clarity in this video, I'm talking about two extremes, the massive MBB firms versus the very small boutiques. But remember, there's a whole range of firms in between, and much of what I'm discussing applies across a spectrum, with mid-range firms showcasing aspects of both worlds.
I would definitely recommend people to go more towards boutique consultancies. I think I'd go for a boutique that specialise in industries I'm interested in, whether it's communications or media, etc. It feels much less draining. The conversations you're having with the clients or with your teammates are just much more interesting because it's something you genuinely care about. Whereas with MBB firms, the projects were so random.
MBB firms offer a range of experiences across sectors, and that's great if you're interested in a little bit of everything. But let's be honest, not everyone gets excited about compliance or gas pipelines. Boutique firms offer a direct path to becoming a sought-after expert in a field that fuels your passion. They specialize in particular industries or types of work, allowing you to immerse yourself in something that fires you up. While your exit opportunities might not be as vast as an MBB generalist, they'll be more focused and potentially aligned with your long-term goals. Boutique firms have much smaller staff numbers. Working at a boutique, you'll need to be adaptable, wear many hats, take the initiative. There's an interesting forum on Wall Street Oasis where people discuss these points in a way that I found engaging and honest.
At a small firm, there is generally a more entrepreneurial spirit. This is a consequence of the fact that at a company of around 35 people, losing one project means a wipeout of the bonus pool.
The upside, without all the bureaucracy of a larger firm, you'll have opportunities to step up and take on real responsibilities much earlier in your career. This kind of responsibility can translate into faster career progression and skill development.
The people I worked with in the boutique consultancies had gone straight from university to them and had been there for 6-7 years and were already at senior manager positions there, whereas at MBB firms, that would not be the case. You'd have to be there for a long time in order to be promoted to that level. In terms of the experience, I think you'd get something that's quite similar.
Another key difference lies in company culture. In a boutique firm, your work has a much larger impact relative to the firm's output, and you'll likely have a stronger voice in shaping the direction of the company. This can help combat the feeling that you're just a cog in a corporate meat grinder.
The quality of co-worker is materially higher. This is likely because there are no or few 22-year-old employees, and everyone at the company has shown a demonstrated interest in consulting as a career path, rather than a resume badge. Not everyone is an A player, but there are very few, if any, C's.
At a boutique firm, you'll typically work closely with a smaller number of clients than at MBB firms, which allows you to build more personal connections. The firm dedicates significant time and resources to each client's success, and you'll likely feel more invested in the outcomes of your work. This level of investment makes your work feel more tangible and meaningful, especially if you've ever felt like your efforts are lost in the shuffle of a larger company.
I worked for certain consultancies that were working with small clients, but they were working with them for years. And so the clients trusted them with really important aspects of their company.
Boutique firms often provide greater exposure to clients or senior leadership, which is a great way to jumpstart your career and build relationships faster than at big firms. Ultimately, boutique firms create a shared sense of purpose with clients. Since everyone's invested in each project's success, the results feel personal and rewarding. Intense working hours and burnout are serious issues across all of consulting, but boutique firms might provide a slightly better balance. Now, this can vary quite a lot from boutique firm to boutique firm, but it does hold as an average.
MBB firms felt more like a pressure cooker, more stressful, whereas when I worked for smaller boutique consultancies, the communication was better. They really asked for our input as well. The relationships with the clients were deeper, better prepared, more realistic. In the bigger ones, in MBB firms, there was an established structure of like, this is the product offering that we have. But client would come, can we do this? Next day they send email back, yes, we can. Because they want to please the client so much, because the client is giving so much money, it's a big, big name, and they don't want that big client to go to another MBB firm because competition is huge. Then you do everything for the client and you kind of bend yourself backwards to deliver something that the client wants, but they don't have the expertise to know if it's actually realistic. Whereas in the boutique firms I worked for, it was like, hey, can we do this? Let's have 2 weeks of chats about it, and then we'll tell you if we can or not. And we'll also design the type of project with you.
Overall, there's likely to be less travel, more flexibility, and a genuine sense of camaraderie compared to at the bigger firms. This all has real-world impacts. Boutique firms tend to have lower turnover rates than the big names, where the average tenure is just 2.7 years. The absence of an up or out philosophy, coupled with the presence of nimble collaborative structures, results in significantly lower turnover rates at boutique firms. This is a good indicator that on the whole, smaller firms are doing something right when it comes to employee well-being. Before I conclude, it's worth talking about brand recognition. MBB firms have bucket loads of it. Pop any one of those companies on your CV and recruiters instantly know what they're getting. Cue images of sharp suits, global projects, and employees on, I don't know, speedboats? Well, there's a whole world of boutique firms out there, absolute gems, quietly doing incredible work. They face a problem. People don't know who they are. There's about 1 million boutique firms, and to gain any kind of brand recognition in that sea of firms is really difficult. At a boutique, you might have toiled away on cutting edge projects, mastering your chosen specific industry to become a true expert. But then interview day comes around and your potential employer looks down at your CV and is like, where's that? I've never heard of it. Despite everything, that is very unlikely to happen with an MBB firm. Before I conclude, if you want to know more about the difficulties of working in consulting as a whole, then check out my linked video. At the end of the day, choosing a consulting firm to work at is a deeply personal thing, and I fully understand the allure of MBB. If you're looking for a tried and tested way to kick off your career, then these firms are hard to beat. If the stats are anything to go by, you probably won't be there long term, but you never know. You might love it. Besides, that might not be what you want anyway. A lot of people see consulting as a 2 to 4 year stepping stone to the rest of their career. Look, I promise you my opinion, and here it is. For me personally, if I was 22 again and I had loads of energy and determination, but didn't really know what I wanted out of the rest of my career, then I probably would give MBB a go if I could get in. But I'm not that person, and I never really was that person. I've been what I think is lucky in that I have always had a sense of what I find interesting in life, and I derive much more fulfillment working on a niche that I know I really love rather than being a generalist. Beyond that, I really prioritize quality of life and having a well-rounded lifestyle. Working 60 to 80 hours a week, I mean, nope. It would ruin me. And frankly, I would avoid any boutique firm that was going to work me that hard as well. But the real benefit of boutique firms is the fact that there's like a gazillion of them. If you're willing and you're able, you have the time to put in, you can find a really good fit, a company that you want to be at long term. You can really dig into industries that you're passionate about, enjoy a greater work-life balance, and be part of a small and supportive team. Sure, you won't have the name recognition, but for me, that trade-off's worthwhile. So the question I would ask myself before I got swept up in all the prestige is, does my career start in a few years after all the insane hours and stress and endless travel, or is my career, my life, happening right now? Don't let your best years pass you by in a blur of airports and late nights just because you feel like that's what you should do. Do it because it's what you want to do. Don't follow the hype just for hype's sake.